Welcome to Radio Who, What, Why. I'm Jeff Schechter. We all understand the butterfly effect. The idea that even a small butterfly flapping its wings can have impact thousands of miles away. Perhaps nowhere is this more true than in the world of economics and international finance. Events that happened years ago in opulent boardrooms of banks and in the flag-draped conference rooms of nations is in so many ways directly linked to both the political and economic world we live in today. The economic bubbles in the U.S. and Europe, the rising tide of anger and political extremism, particularly on the right, can almost all be traced back to small economic decisions, sometimes lies, that layer after layer gave us the world of today. My guest, Yanis Varoufakis, is the former Greek finance minister, and he was, as they say, present at the creation. He takes us on one of the most comprehensive and clarifying looks inside this cloistered world in his new memoir, The Adults in the Room. Yanis Varoufakis is a former finance minister of Greece. He's taught for many years in the United States, Britain, and Australia, and currently a professor of economics at the University of Athens. It is my pleasure to welcome Yanis Varoufakis to Radio Who, What, Why.
It is a great pleasure, Jeff.
For our listeners that may not remember, talk a little very brief kind of refresher course with respect to the financial crisis that Greece faced from 2007 into 2009.
The Greek crisis was a direct repercussion of the Wall Street collapse in 2008. If you want, our downtrodden nation, Greece, was the Lehman Brothers of Europe. Wall Street, in its infinite wisdom for 2 decades, was producing oodles of private money, as I call it. Remember those exotic derivatives, new forms of debt which started behaving like a form of private money. That private money flooded, beginning from Wall Street, Europe, through the French and the German banks. And because of the common currency that we have in Europe, those monies found their way to all corners of the European Union, and in particular to the most indebted, or deficit, I should say, regions like Ireland, Portugal, Greece, Spain, Italy. Greece was a very particular case because we had the best performance in terms of growth rates. We were being hailed in the 2000s as the miracle of Europe. We were growing at 5, 6, 7% every year. It was, of course, all Ponzi growth, based on the tsunami of money that was coming through the French and the German banks. And, the difference, however, with Lehman Brothers, with your Lehman Brothers, Jeff, was that when Greece went belly up, something remarkable happened. Do you recall what happened when the CEO, Mr. Fultz, went to Hank Paulson, your Treasury Secretary, in 2008, in the fall, and famously asked for a bailout? And Hank Paulson said no, and Lehman Brothers collapsed. What happened with Greece was quite remarkable. The CEO of Greece, the Prime Minister of Greece at the time, somebody that I knew quite well, went to the creditors, went to the rest of the European Union and the International Monetary Fund and said something similar. We need a bailout because we are bankrupt. And the answer that he got was, you're not going to get a bailout and you're not allowed to go bankrupt. Which, if the CEO of Lehman Brothers was told that, he would have laughed in the middle of a ridiculous situation. So for a few months, this travesty continued until the great and the good, Washington, D.C., and Berlin, and Frankfurt, where the European Central Bank is stationed, and Paris, and the Greek oligarchy, the Greek ruling class, decided to do something quite remarkable. Not only did they try to hide that bankruptcy, that has happened many times in the world of finance in the past. You will remember the savings and loan scandal in the United States. They did something even worse than that.